And here I thought I was going back to talking about other topics other than Italian dual citizenship, but then this happens. The minor issue. I'm Rafael Di Furia. Welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Globetrotter, and roll that intro. As I mentioned a few weeks ago, things are going to be looking a little bit different right now, and this is just going to be a one-camera episode. Actually, I'm recording it directly onto my phone. But with this minor issue that's recently come up from the government, I'm not going to go into detail about it. I'm not going to be giving any legal advice. I'm not qualified as an Italian lawyer. So if you're looking for any qualified opinions and information, be sure to go check out the most recent episode of the Italian Citizenship podcast on the Italian Citizenship Assistance YouTube page. I'll leave a link down to that in the comments section below this video on YouTube, and that will be able to give you a bit more insight. Please keep in mind with this episode, everything that I'm saying here are only my own opinions as an individual person. They're not attached to or endorsed by Marco Permunian or Italian Citizenship Assistance. Anything that I'm saying here on my own YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rafael Di Furia, or on my own podcast, Not Your Average Globetrotter, that is me solely alone and my own personal opinions. But this video is just some opinions, some personal opinions that I have and some questions that I have about this topic, because to me, it seems like it's come up at a very odd time. One thing, though, that I remember before Giorgia Meloni got into office was that she released a video where she said that she was going to protect the rights of Italian citizens around the world. And that was something that made me very interested in what might come after that. And what does she mean? What does she call Italian citizens? By her own definition, what counts as an Italian? And so it seems as though now this is something where maybe this is not actually fighting for and protecting the rights of those individuals who actually are Italian citizens by birth. And this is not to drum up any debate about, oh, she's this, or oh, she's that, or she's this type of politician or that type of politician. She's leans too far in this direction or too far in that direction. This is not about that. I'm only talking about what an individual has said and then the actions taken after the fact. And another factor to me that looks really strange is the timing of all of this. Like, this kind of feels like it came more or less out of nowhere. Granted, there have been issues that people have been facing in different places, but to have this all of a sudden pop out of kind of seemingly nowhere, just all of a sudden now there's this, that looks a little funny to me. And no, I'm not shouting conspiracy theory or anything like that. But what I'm saying is that if you look at what's going on in Italy, that there's a big discussion currently about the acquisition of citizenship and how a person might be able to, for example, if someone immigrates to Italy and their children are raised there and spend the majority of their life there and not able to get citizenship, or they can't get citizenship till they're 18, or they have a different type of process, whatever it may be, it's kind of strange that that citizenship by descent is always brought up in the same time when this discussion is brought up about the acquisition of citizenship through naturalization. Also, currently in Italy, they're talking about lowering the total amount of years for citizenship by naturalization through residency, and that would go from 10 years minimum requirement of residency down to 5 years. This is something that, as far as I'm aware, hasn't been confirmed yet. Of course, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving any legal advice here, but one thing that does look interesting to me is that over the years, there have been sources of information, and I've noticed a couple of sources in particular which tend to lean in a way that almost creates unnecessary panic at a certain point. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to make this anything less than what it is, but I think it's important to take into account, yes, there may be one pathway that's closed currently to this Italian citizenship process, but that doesn't mean for the moment that everything else is closed off. It seems as though there are some courts that are still allowing for this to go through. It's a different process, but it's still a pathway that could be open to some. So even in the recent days, I've been getting a lot of contacts from individuals asking about, hey, what's going on? What's happening? Can you do a video about this? Can you do like, I completely understand the panic that everybody was going through, but I think it's important to keep in mind that when you're dealing with Italy, that there are going to be things which are going to be firm, solid in place, but at the end of the day, anything can happen. Even if you are going by the old rules, there are still things that can pop up because maybe a clerk wants a particular document from you, or there's a particular name that's got like one letter that's misspelled or whatever it might be. It's going to come down to the individual actually registering these documents at the end of the day. Their interpretation was the make or break within all of this. And so now there is this new issue that has come up. I'm not going to go into detail about what this issue is, but just the very short version of this is that if you had an ancestor who came to, for example, the US and they naturalized while their child was a minor, now they're saying that this child would not have the ability to pass on citizenship as well. This then makes it so that potentially other paths to citizenship could be possible. Again, I would highly recommend going to check out the video that I did with Marco. He goes into more detail than I will be going into this video or any video on my channel. But even though I think there has been some unnecessary panic during this time, I think it's important to try and have a holistic look at everything that's going on right now. Again, this is just my opinions as an individual. What I'm saying is not endorsed by Marco or ICA or anybody else. These are just purely my own opinions. But regardless of whether the panic was founded or unfounded, that doesn't actually matter at this point because that's said and done. I think it's important to always be careful of where you're getting your information from, and that there are certain particular sources that I have seen over the years which seem to be more likely to create panic than others. Is this decision going to be something that affects many people? Most definitely. There's no way to avoid that. This is absolutely going to be the case. Are people who have this issue and already have this citizenship going to have to worry about this? As far as we know, there's no way that this could be possible. Is this something that's going to remain till the end of time like this? We don't know. But if I had had more time this week, I would have gone back to previous episodes that I have said so many times that there is no time like now. We don't know how long the door is going to be open, but we know what it looks like for the time being. And since then, there has been a major change that has affected the possibility for a lot of people to be able to get Italian citizenship by descent. So if you do feel as though that you are able to get citizenship by descent and you fall into a category that would allow you to get your citizenship through the courts or through a regular consulate case or whatever it may be, do it now. Don't wait. Like, if you are thinking, maybe I'm going to do this, take care of this immediately. This is something that you don't want to think about waiting for. Is it turning into a gamble? I can't say whether that's the case or not. How likely or unlikely that is will just depend on how much research you're able to do ahead of time to see if anybody else has gone through your type of case through that court. Maybe if you're working with a professional, they'll be able to actually go and do that research for you to see what that likelihood will be and if it's worthwhile actually pushing through. I know a question that a lot of people have had recently is there any way for this to be kind of turned over, to go back to how it was before? And even if it's possible, if it were possible, I don't have the answer to that. But if it potentially could somehow be done, it probably wouldn't be done anytime soon. This is going to be the thing that would take a long time to kind of challenge, work, and rework to be able to get through. At least this is my understanding based on how things kind of work in Italy. But again, these are just some of my opinions and just some of my takes on what this current situation looks like and how things currently stand. I don't have all the final answers to this, but I would say, again, if you are looking for more information on what is happening currently, I would highly, highly advise to go check out the episode that I did with Marco on the Italian Citizenship podcast. You'll be able to find that link down below in the comment section here on YouTube, as well as I'll try to put an end card at the end of the video. If you are on one of the podcasting players, be sure to come over to YouTube or even search for Italian Citizenship Assistance and type in the minor issue, and that should be able to bring you to the video. My heart really does go out to everybody who's been affected by this and now is stressing out over what the next steps are going to be and what will happen. I can only imagine how much time and effort you would have already put into this. I know everything that I went through and how devastated I would be to learn something like this. But again, for the time being, especially based on what I've heard and what I learned from Marco during that episode, like if I were having to go through all of this again, I would actually feel almost a little bit better about things. Are things going to be 100%? Maybe, maybe not. There's no way to know for sure, but there's still a pathway that could be open. So I think it's worth exploring. But anyway, again, as always, I'm Rafael Di Furia. This is just a short, quick episode on this topic. And I don't know if we're going to continue on citizenship next week, but we'll see. We'll find out then. Anyway, stay safe and healthy out there. And thank you to those of you who support this project. Of course, through the one-time donations or the monthly support through Patreon. Of course, everything helps. And to those of you who have anything to say about this topic, this is an open conversation. So feel free to leave any thoughts, questions, or comments down in the comments section below. And again, I'm Rafael Di Furia, and I'll see you all next time for another episode of Not Your Average Globetrotter. Later.